Namaskar and welcome back to Gita ODC live classes. Today is our 18th session and we are going to discuss the 18th shloka. So you can understand we are taking only one shloka per day. So we'll pick up the pace a little bit once we cover the shloka 25. But until then, we would like to go slow and try to understand the shlokas as much as possible and try to clarify the meaning and make sure that you're understanding the idea because the vision of the Gita. The reason is if you understand shlokas 11 to 25, you are getting the key to unlock any Upanishads or any Vedantic text. So that is what the importance of these shlokas. Shlokas 11 to 25. So it is my sincere request to pay attention completely and try to review the materials as much as possible. And that is why I'm trying to publish the notes also for every shloka. So you can review that and try to connect the dots. Listening is only Shravanam, but it needs to be complemented with Mananam and Nidityasanam. So you just need to contemplate upon the meaning of the shloka. Try to relate that shloka with our life. And if something is not clicking or if something is not understanding properly, use our discussion forum as much as possible to discuss that. Because we can get that clarity. It is not that difficult. So once again, it's a request. Having said that, right now we are talking about the self-knowledge, which is from Shloka 11 to Shloka 25. The subject matter is, who am I? What am I? In other words, what I am not. That is also being discussed. If you are not speaking, kindly mute yourself so that it won't distract the session. Okay, thank you. So, the second chapter of the Gita, you can see the second chapter of the Gita as an entire summary of the entire Gita. The first 10 shlokas is going to talk about the fundamental human problem through the case history of Arjuna. And we can retell this problem through our own life. This is the exercise we need to take. Like, what exactly is the fundamental problem I am facing with my life? Forget about Arjuna's story. Arjuna's story is just a prototype. So understand that fundamental problem. I tried to explain that many times. The fundamental problem is, it is not the war. It is not the Kurukshetra situation. The problem is the basic fact that I am subjected to suffering, right? I am vulnerable. What exactly that is causing suffering to me is a variable. 20 years, like long time back, it was a balloon or a candy. And then it became a job. Then it became a green card. Then it became a retirement planning. And what exactly that causes pain or suffering in me is a variable, but that I'm subjected to suffering is constant. That is the problem. That is the fundamental problem. And that is the problem common to all the human beings, irrespective of caste, creed, religion, nationality, anything. Everybody is subjected to suffering. And what exactly is the solution for that? And that is the big bang Krishna has given on Shloka 11. So let's just listen to the shlokas from 11 to 17. That is what we covered so far. And then we will move on to Shloka 18. So let's listen to that. And even this listening, we recorded this videos, meaning the shlokas professionally and put it on Spotify.
Shri Bhagavanuvacha Ashocyananvashocastvam Prajnavadamscha bhashase Gatasunagatasumscha नानुशोचन्ति पण्डिताः न त्वेवाहं जातु नासं न त्वं नेमे जनाधिपाः न चैव न भविष्यामः सर्वे वयमतः परम् देहिनोऽस्मिन् यथा देहे कौमारं यौवनं जरा तथा देहान्तरप्राप्तिः धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यति मात्रा स्पर्शास्तु कौन्तेय शीतोष्णसुखदुःखदाः आगमाबायिनो नित्याः तां स्थितिक्षस्व भारत यं हि न व्यथयन्त्येते पुरुषं पुरुषर्षभ समदुःखसुखं धीरं सोमृतत्वाय कल्पते नासतो विद्यते भावः नाभावो विद्यते सतः उभयोरपि दृष्टोऽन्तः त्वनयोस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः अविनाशि तु तद्विद्धि येन सर्वमिदं ततम् विनाशमव्ययस्यास्य न कश्चित् कर्तुमर्हति.
This is what we saw. So I'm going to recap this in 3-4 minutes, but please read the shlokas and see if the dots are not connecting. So Krishna's point of view is that, or the biggest teachings in Sanatana Dharma or Vedas is that the root cause for all the suffering is we are not understanding ourselves properly or completely. It's not that I don't understand myself. If somebody say that I don't know myself, that is not correct. But do I know myself completely? That is the question. Let's say that if my scope is 100, if I understand myself as 1, that is a problem. And that is exactly what is happening. I know certain dimensions of myself, but I don't know the full dimension of myself. So Krishna is saying that a Pandita, the definition of a Pandita is one who knows himself properly or herself properly. So a Pandita who knows, a person who knows himself or herself properly, he is not subjected to suffering. If you remember, we talked about the fact that it is not that he is not subjected to pain. Pain is something happens, like it's a emotional pain or a physical pain. But suffering is what? The reaction towards that pain. The perpetual pain, the perpetual uncertainty, or that perpetual things that response happens in my mind, like that continues forever. That is the suffering. The pain is not, meaning the pain is inevitable, but the suffering is optional. And what Krishna is trying to address is that it is the suffering, right? So Buddha in his teachings talks about the 2 arrows. Usually we all get hit with 2 arrows. The first arrow is, let's say that I have a toothache. As long as I have body, some pain is going to come. It is inevitable. But if I think about that and worry over it, the perpetual worry over what happened, over that pain is called suffering. Buddha tells that is the second arrow. One is the pain and the second one is the suffering. And Buddha tells, for the first arrow, I don't have any solution for you. You may have to, meaning you can try to manage that, but as long as you live in this body, something or the other is going to happen. But the skill you need to acquire is the second aspect. The second arrow is optional. And if you really think about that, The pain lasts for only for certain amount of time, but the suffering is almost perpetual. So if you learn the ability to manage that suffering, your life turns into a different dimension. So let's set the expectation, because let's say that by studying Gita, tomorrow I won't be free from all the pain. I won't get a headache, I won't get a toothache. That's not what we are talking here. We are talking only about the suffering. So the Panditas, the one who knows himself or herself properly, they will not suffer. We have hundreds of examples. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa had uh, the cancer. He used to cry when the pain comes. But when the pain goes, he starts laughing. The same behavior is exhibited by Ramana Maharshi. Right? And I have personally seen the same type of behavior by Swami Dayananda Saraswati when he's on his final moments, how he responded. He was very tired, but he was laughing and cracking the jokes. Can you imagine somebody doing that? So man dies but once, Swami Vivekananda said. But the cowards, while living, they will die many, many times. That is what we wanted to avoid. And when Krishna said, why the Panditas, or why the self-realized people do not suffer? What is the greatest fear of life? Fear of death, isn't it? The greatest fear of anybody's life is the fear of death. So once you know yourself properly, you understand that you are not subjected to birth and death. That is what the Shloka 12 talks about. Natve vaham jatunasam natvam neme janadibaha nachaiva nabhavishyamaha sarve vayamataparam. There was not a time when I was not there, when you were not there, nor any of the people around us were not there. And there won't be a time when all of us cease to exist. This is what the biggest teaching was. So what does that mean then? I thought my birth was certain one meaning period in history, and I thought my death is going to be in some period of time. So there is some entity that is born, and there is some entity that is dying. Is that you? That is the biggest question. In the current state of understanding, I take myself as that entity which is born and which is growing and which is decaying and finally which is dying. If I take myself as that entity, yes, you are subjected to death and birth. And that is why Krishna said, your understanding of yourself is not complete. What you take yourself, as Mr. X, Mr. Rajesh, or Gokul, or Sanjay, that is only a temporary expression of my personality. To make it clear, Krishna took the example of the Swapna Drishtanta. And what is the Swapna Drishtanta? When I am in a dream, I feel that 100% reality, right? It is a reality in the dream. I interact with people, but my existence will not cease to exist at the end of the dream. This is the teaching. So while the dream body, the dream mind, and the dream time and space is subjected to a destruction, the real I, transcend that dream space and dream time. Is this clear? This is the most important thing. So when I look myself, I have two different dimensions. I would say one as an imminent dimension, which is relevant here right now. And I do have a transcendental dimension. What is that transcendental dimension? That which goes beyond the current state of my existence. So the imminent I, which is limited to the body, mind, and everything, which experiences this world, is subjected to an end. But the real I, which is transcendental, which is not subjected to birth, growth, decay, and death. And Krishna tells what exactly is suffering, what exactly changing, what exactly experiencing the pleasure and pain is only your body mind complex. So we pause there and we try to understand the three major dimensions of our personality. They are the Sthula Sharira, physical body, Sukshma Sharira, subtle body, and then the Atma, which is the transcendental entity. While the Sthula Sharira and Sukshma Sharira are subjected to birth, growth, decay, death, the Atma is not subjected to any of these changes. And we were trying to explore the nature of that Atma. In Shloka 16, we said that Na sato vidyate bhavaha, na bhavo vidyate sataha, upayor apidrishtondas tanayor tatudrishini. For the Atma, there is not at all, it always exists. And whereas the Anatma, it do not have an independent entity. Anatma means that which is not Atma. Anatma, always dependent upon Atma for its existence. And Atma, on the other hand, is not dependent upon anything else for its existence. So when you understand that I have a different dimension of personality, which transcends the death, which is not affected by any of these situations, the fear of death can be negated. Right now, it's a theoretical knowledge for you, but when you do the Shravanam, Mananam, Nidithyasanam, this will be deep rooted in you. And when you're convinced with this, you will lose the fear of death. One great story. Rockefeller went to see Swami Vivekananda. He said, "You cannot help me with anything. I have enough money, right? You cannot help me to live a better life." Swami Vivekananda said, "I can help you to die peacefully, because whatever money you have, it is not going to give you or take the fear of death away from you. But when you have this knowledge, that is going to free you from all the sufferings." This is the beauty of this knowledge. And then in Shloka 17, we spent one whole lecture on that last week. Krishna said one famous statement. So we saw that Atma is indestructible. How many Atmas are there? There is only one Atma. So your Atma, my Atma, and everybody's Atma is only one. We spend a lot of time. If you miss that lecture, please review the video. We spend a lot of time. We try to analyze that logically, why it is so. A simple example, and then I will move on. But for the detailed discussion, please refer that video. In the dream, again going back to the dream, there are thousands of people. Imagine that you are in a crowd. You can see thousands of people. You can see buildings, cars, other artifacts around you. Really speaking, truly speaking, what exactly is the foundation for all of these things? Your mind stuff is exactly what perverts everywhere. So like that, even though it appears to be completely different, A is different from B, B is different from C, X is different from Y, and everything else is different. But we know that in truth, the building, the sky, the plant, animal, and the human, you, me, everything is one source. So the Atma is only one. This is the biggest teachings of the Vedanta. So Atma Satyaha, Atma is indestructible. Atma Satyaha means Atma is the true existence. Atma is indestructible. Atma is all-pervading. Atma is only one. These were the points we have seen earlier. Let me pause here. Any questions? Because this is such an important topic, and this is what the essence of all the Upanishads are. And it is, please don't disheartened if you don't understand easily, because this is the highest teachings in the Gita and in Vedanta. If you understand this, you understood Vedanta. That's it. So let's take time. Any questions on this? Otherwise, we can move further.
Rajesh, any example of the you mentioned about Karan Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, and the third one was
Sthula Sharira,
Sthula Sharira.
Sharira,
So,
Karna Sharira, and Atma. So
Sukshma
let's.
Sharira is that also? I mean, like it has the birth and death.
Yes. Sukshma Sharira. So the example is like the hardware and the software. Sukshma Sharira means they are subtle matter. So the detailed discussion, there are 19 components that make up the Sukshma Sharira. I think we had one full lecture on that. We can refer to that. But
Sure.
Sukshma Sharira is subtle matter. So imagine that, let's discuss that further because let's clarify that right now. We don't need to go back to the lecture. So Sukshma Sharira, imagine there is a compute, there is an iPhone 16, now the 17 has come. The 16 has all your app, all your personalities, all your wallpaper, all your settings, everything. When 17 comes, what do? You bring the 17 near the 16, and what is going to happen? Something get transferred from 16 to 17, and the 17's personality appears exactly like 16. What exactly transferred from 16 to 17? Take the 17 before you transfer that 16 data and weigh immediately after transferring the data. There won't be absolutely nothing physically changed, but something subtle changed. So like that, every human being is a combination of physical matter and subtle matter. And subtle matter, you can consider it just like the hardware, there is a software. That's it. And the Atma, the best example is like electricity. So without the electricity, the physical matter and the subtle matter is useless. You know that. Meaning, if there is no power, the phone or the computer will not work. Just because the hardware is there, the software is not there, still it will not work. So you need the combination of physical body, subtle body, and Atma. And the Atma is unchanging, but the physical body has a birth and death. The subtle body also has a birth and death, but the longevity of the subtle body is much larger. It is the whole cycle, like what they call as kalpa. From the beginning till end, the subtle body is active. And at the end, the subtle body also will destroy. But Atma is indestructible. So this is the teaching Krishna is saying. I'm not going to Karna Sharira because we don't need the Karna Sharira in this discussion. Karna Sharira, the technical explanation is at the end of the cycle, what happens? The subtle body get dismantled. So that will be stored as Karna Sharira, and that survives the cycle. When the universe emerges again, from the Karna Sharira, the Sushma Sharira will come, and from Sukshma Sharira, the Sthula Sharira will come. So this is the whole thing. And what exactly is reincarnation? The movement of the subtle body from one physical body to the other. That is reincarnation.
And so, thank you for that clarifying. So the Sukshma Sharira could be multiple, but only thing which is just one is the Atma or Karan Sharira.
Yeah. So the relationship is one Sukshma Sharira can have multiple Sthula Sharira. One subtle body can take multiple physical body. Correct?
Correct.
And then what happens? After the cycle, another subtle body will come. So there will be more than one subtle body. There will be much more physical body, and Atma is only one.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that.
Any other questions? Okay, so let's move to the next shloka. This is the shloka we saw last time. So we are going to shloka number 18. Let's listen to the shloka.
अन्तवन्त इमे देहाः नित्यस्योक्ता शरीरिणः अनाशिनो प्रमेयस्य तस्माद्युध्यस्व भारत.
Krishna is going a sum up of whatever he has taught so far. He say, Antavanta ime deha. Deha means the bodies. Look at the plural he has used. Exactly the question Sanjay was asking. The bodies are the bodies of the embodied self. Sharirinaha. Sharirinaha means embodied self, which is eternal. The embodied self is eternal, indestructible, and the beyond comprehension, whereas the bodies are perishable. It's a poetic language. That is why you need to look at the comma. So if I translate this into simple English, we can say that the bodies are perishable, whether it is physical body or the subtle body. But the Atma is eternal, indestructible, and incomprehensible. These are the three terminologies used. And the bodies are perishable. And therefore, understand this nature and fulfill your duty. Thus, in the context of Arjuna, tasmat yuddhasya, do your duty. What exactly was Arjuna's duty? A war. Whereas for us, it's a different thing. So, let's try to understand a little bit more. The bodies are perishable. They are subjected to, remember, last week we discussed Shatbhava Vikara, sixfold modification. What are the sixfold modification? Asti, Jayate, Varthate, Viparinamate, Apakshiyate, Pranashyati. Excellent. A lot of people said that. That is great. Asti means come into existence. Then Asti, Jayate means born. So one is conceived in the womb. Second one is actual physical birth. Then Varthate, growth. Viparinamate, you turn into adulthood or you completely change, a big change. It need not be human being. Like I took the example of butterflies and pupa, everything. That is the viparinamati, a big change. Apakshiyate means decay. We joked, like we wear glasses, we wear hearing aids, all that is signs of decay. And finally, pranashyati, death. So that is the characteristics of the body. If you try to make it permanent, it won't happen. That is what Krishna said. You can extend that for some more time, and you need to, by taking care of the body properly, doing proper exercise, eating good diet, and following all the healthy habits. And that is why we have the whole Hatha Yoga given to us. And that is why the whole Ayurveda is given to us. So all that is important. You need to preserve the body as much as possible. But if you expect permanency in that impermanent thing, it is not going to happen. Right? That is impossible. So, whereas the real self in you, the Atma, that is three characteristics again Krishna says. One is Nityasya. Nityasya means it is eternal. It doesn't have a birth. It doesn't have an end. It is always there. Then Avinashi. It is just a repetition. Last verse also he said, Avinashi tu tat vithim, yena sarvamidam tadam. Avinashi, indestructible. Shankaracharya tells even God cannot destroy it. That is the point. And then this shloka, he introduces a new terminology called aprameya. Aprameya literally transmission means it is not beyond comprehension, beyond understanding. What does that mean? Then why is the point of studying Vedanta? So here is what we need to take a step back and try to understand what exactly it means. So comprehension or understanding, means of knowledge. Usually, how do you know a thing? How do you know that I'm sitting here? You see me, correct? So perception can be your eyes, meaning using your five sense organs. You can see, you can hear, you can smell, you can touch, right? Or you can taste. So like that, you can understand something using perception. But perception alone is not the means of knowledge. something else is there called inference. Inference. So I don't know, I never went to sun, but I know what is happening inside the sun. Right? I haven't seen like the objects are going 9.8 second per second, but I only know that something is falling down. It is inference. Inference means from what you see, what you experiment, you connect the dots and you derive some information. Entire material science is based on this. So pratyaksha, anumana, these are the two means of knowledge for understanding anything in the external world. Now, if you try to understand the Atma, which is transcendental. Transcendental means what? It is beyond your perception and inference. You will not come to know. So if you try to understand or appreciate Atma using the usual pramana, pramana means of knowledge, right? That is what is pramana. Praharshena, mana means measure, pramana means praharshena. You measure something. Eyes will measure the light and color. Ears will measure and listen to the sound. So pramana is what? Pramana means it's a means of knowledge. Using the usual means of knowledge, usual pramanas, you cannot understand. That's all it means. And that is why the Vedas or the scriptures tells, when this usual means of knowledge fails, there is a third means of knowledge. The Yoga Sutra beautifully describes this as pratyaksha, anumana, agama, pramanani. The third one is agama, means Vedas or the scriptures. So to know the Atma, the only means of knowledge is scriptures. That doesn't mean that it's only the Hindu scriptures. I'm just saying that all the scriptures in the world talks about this transcendental reality, which is beyond the perception and inference. But once you understand that, you can experience that within yourself. But initially, the scriptures is the means of knowledge, and using that path, you need to proceed. So when you say that here that Atma is aprameya, don't get meaning frightened or there is a means to know Atma, and that is the means of scriptures. Scriptures is the means of knowledge to know the Atma or the Ishvara. That's all it means. So this is so antavanta ime deha nityasyukta sharirinaha anashino aprameyasya. Then knowing that the bodies will perish, the Atma will not perish. Atma is eternal. Do what needs to be done. That is very important. This knowledge should empower you to act in the world on what needs to be done. That is very important. So that is the final call. So to Arjuna, tasmad yuddhasya, because Arjuna was a warrior. Some people misinterpret this as Gita is warmongering. But when you talk to a warrior, go and do your duty. What is the duty of the warrior? It is war. Let's say that you are a doctor. What exactly is it? Go and treat your patients. COVID times, you see doctors and nurses going and treating patients, right? With some strength and courage. You see the army men going to the battlefield. So you have to do your duty. Don't worry about the other things. The bodies are subjected to death and growth and decay, but the real you, the complete you, the true you is beyond death and birth. And this knowledge should free you from that fear of death. That is the whole idea. So a few more thoughts, and you can look at the document I gave. I tried to summarize a lot of good points from the book about this. First thing is that we talked about the eternal nature of Atma. We talked about the transience of the body, because the physical and the subtle bodies are temporary. They are subjected to birth, growth, death, disease, decay, and death. They are asat, and they are not the reality. and the meaning, and at the death of the body, the subtle body may continue, but again it is not permanent. And whereas Atma is aprameya, it is incomprehensible because it is not known through the perception and logical inference. That is why it is. And that is why the role of the scriptures and the teachers are very important, because since the Atma is beyond the sensory perception and inference, it cannot be known through the ordinary means of knowledge. Scriptures or the Shastra, properly taught by a teacher, is the means of knowledge. They do not create Atma, but they help you to remove that false identification with the body and the mind. Practical implication of this shloka is understanding of that your true Atma will remove the fear of death and anxiety about the changes. So that is the thing. And what is Krishna's call of action? His call of action is, Krishna tells Arjuna, Tasmat Yuddhasya Bharata, therefore fight. This is not to promote violence, but engage in your life. That's it. The wisdom is to act in line with the dharma, not with fear and confusion, with courage and confidence. See, the battlefield only is a metaphor. That's the whole idea. So let's continue. So this is the essence of the shloka. It is already there captured in the notes, so you can read. So every shloka, we try to capture the essence of the shloka in one paragraph. Life changes often stem from our deep identification with the impermanent, our physical, mental, and intellectual identities, meaning the body. Krishna reminds us that while our bodies are designed to perish, our true essence, Atma, is eternal, indestructible, and beyond the grasp of time. Rooted in the timeless truth of our unchanging self, Atma, we can face life battles with clarity and courage. Look at the actual paraphrasing of the commentary versus this. We try to make the essence of the shloka not more than in one paragraph. So if you are very busy, take the book or take the notes I share and just read this one paragraph. This should give you the essence of the shloka. And if you cannot understand this, raise that question to us. That's all we are asking, right? So this paragraph, please read. Couple of points. So what is the reflective prompt for this shloka? The reflective prompt is, are you often overwhelmed by the fear of loss, aging, and death? You might see yourself as an eternal consciousness beyond the limitations of the body. Is that transform the view of this experience? Imagine that your physical death is not an end of your existence. Is that going to address your fear of death? This is the reflective prompt. You can reflect that, think that. I don't want any personal reflection or anything like that, but any questions, please feel free. But this writing this reflective prompt definitely is going to help you. Finally, the takeaways from this, or the key points from this shloka. Atma is eternal and indestructible. It is bodies are transient or permanent, impermanent. Atma is aprameya, meaning Atma is like beyond the means of logic, inferent perception and logical reasoning. Spiritual guidance is the pramana, the scriptures and the teachers. Then this understanding will free you from the fear of death. And Krishna calls us for courageous action with this knowledge. And the symbolism of battlefield is only for Arjuna. It means you need to actively engage with life. That's it. And finally, the quote is, the body may fade, but the self shines eternal, untouched by time or